Think complex multi-state interactions are beyond your reach? Think again. I'm Tia Pez, and welcome to the Art of Creative Learning.
Visit my website to explore all my tutorials, including today's feature. The individual tutorial page will highlight the example we'll be creating, along with the downloadable working files, completely free. You'll also find written job aids to help you follow along with the sectioned videos.
If today's tutorial seems a bit advanced, don't sweat it. I've got a simpler tutorial on before and after sliders that'll help ease you in. Once you're ready, come back here and we'll level up your skills. Let's get started. Earlier this year, I participated in an e-learning challenge on Tim Slade's e-learning designer academy, and it was for an ocean compliance training on safe lifting practices. And I got a lot of feedback on this particular interaction. I did a couple in that lesson. And if you want to see the full lesson, it's over on my portfolio. But essentially, the idea is once we talked about safe lifting technique, was that you had to come in here, instead of just answering a multiple choice question, you had to put the character in the proper lifting technique stance. And a lot of people wanted to know how I was able to create this interaction. You have a dial that controls his lower body, his arch and his back control, and then also his hip bend control, like bending at the hips. And essentially that's what we're going to do today. We're going to not recreate the same exact e-learning interaction. We're going to make one for a personal training certification, and you have to identify the proper form for the correct squat. So just to kind of give you guys an idea, this is the direction that we're going for his body form today. He's got a straight back. His arms are straight out in front of him. Knees not over the toes. And then this is kind of what a correct squat technique looks like. So let's go ahead and move that out of the way. If you haven't already done so, make sure you download the working files. You'll find those in a link in the description below. And go ahead and open up After Effects. And this time we're going to hit New Project. Go ahead and hit New Composition. And we're just going to do 1000 pixels by 1000 pixels. And I have the frame rate set at 29.97, which is just, I think, HD, but you can set it up just like this, and then I've just got the duration set to a second. So we're going to go ahead and hit OK. We can go ahead and zoom all the way in, and that way we can see the frames. And we're going to pull the end of the working space down and only focus on 9 frames here. So we're going to move it to 9. Next, go ahead and pull up those working files, and in the images, you're going to see an arm, a leg, and a torso and head image PNG file. Go ahead and hit Control, select all 3, and drag them over to the project panel in After Effects. So just to kind of give you guys a quick little background, all this was a figure that I found with one of my subscriptions. I believe it was freepik.com, FREEPIKD.com. Links will be in the description. But essentially it was a Illustrator file that I downloaded, and then I sectioned out to put his arm by itself and his leg by itself and his head and torso. So I've done all that work to get ready for this. If you guys are interested and want me to create a tutorial on how I did that, let me know. We're going to pull all 3 of those files down into the comp and the timeline. And with all 3 selected, go ahead and we're going to change the scale. We're going to hit the down menu next to the torso, and then the down menu again by transform. And then on scale, we're going to make it 50%. And then I'm just going to move him around. Oop. Sorry about that. I double clicked into that a little too much. We're going to make sure to put his arm, make sure his arm is on top, then his torso and head, and his leg is last. Move his arm over here. There we go. So let's go ahead and close this back up. We're going to be in and out of these sections in the transform and doing lots of things. So let's focus on his arm first. We're going to make his arm raise. And we're going to come in, select his arm, and then select the anchor tool here. And this little center circle compass looking thing, we're going to bring it up to pretend that is his shoulder joints. We're going to move it up here. And what I'm telling After Effects is that when I rotate his arm, I want it to rotate from here so that it will know, instead of rotating from the center, it's going to rotate from this corner here where his shoulder is. So we're going to hit transform and open that down menu back up. And with the playhead pulled over to 1, we're going to hit the little stopwatch next to rotation. And remember, this turns on our keyframes, our little diamond there. And then we're going to pull it down to 8, frame 8. And we are going to rotate his arm. And by clicking over, if you see where the little 2 arrows next to the finger, once you have that, if you click and hold, you can move his arm all around. So we want his arm to kind of come out straight. I think I want to move his anchor just a little lower. So we're going to move it back to the first frame. And there'll be a lot of that in this video. Remember, creativity is allowing yourself to make mistakes. Art is knowing what to keep. So now we've got his anchor moved, and see, now it doesn't come so far up on that turn, and I like the way that that looks better. So a lot of this is just going to be figuring out what looks the best for what we're trying to achieve. And if you disagree, you can move yours wherever you want. I'm just going over the basics of the mechanics to get this working. Okay, so we've got his arm there. And let's go ahead and we are going to make his body tilt forward, because as he squats, he naturally leans forward, but we want that back to stay straight. So we're going to open up the torso here, and we're going to turn on the rotation for the torso. And this time, because I want him bending from here, we're going to move that anchor down right there. And we're going to we turned on our stopwatch here. We've got to move our playhead down to 9. And then I'm just going to make him lean forward just a little bit. There we go. Great. So we've got, all right. Now you're probably like, oh no, his arm's not lined up. We'll fix that. Okay. So we're going to go back up to his arm. And we're going to turn on the position keyframe. We're going to move him forward to that 8. And now we're going to move his arm. Oop, I still have my anchor on. We need the selector tool for this one. And we're just going to move his arm forward to where it looks good there. Okay, so now when he moves, his arm will go with him. Okay, so we're going to shut these little arrows, and then we're actually going to turn that off. We're going to focus on his leg. Okay, this is where the really fun stuff comes. With his leg selected, we're going to come up here and we're going to start using the puppet tool. So this little, looks like a thumbtack, is actually a puppet tool. And there, if you click and hold, you've got different options. And we'll go over because we'll be using a couple of these. But we want the thumbtack to start with. And we're going to thumbtack a couple of places, joints, things that we don't want moving and things we do want moving. So I'm gonna add one down here, and then I'm gonna switch this little, kind of looks like a pin with a little circle on top, the starch pin. This kind of makes it like a bone. And it's not movable, but it like toughens the mesh where that is. So I'm going to add that little spot there. And then we're going to add 2 advanced pin tools. And these allow us to add rotation. So we're going to do it on his knee and his ankle. All right. And as we did these, it automatically put these were all the little pins that we just added. So 1 through 8. And if you move this out of the way, you can see there's actually these little dots. That means down in here somewhere is a keyframe within the pin. So in order to see it though, you have to start opening up all of these little down menus. But as long as they're there, they're already turned on. You don't need to do anything except for move your playhead to 8. And we want that squat position. So now here comes the fun part. This takes a lot of finessing, so be patient with yourself, and kind of like molding digital clay. So we're just going to start coming in here. I'm going to go back to that one. There's really no reason, just my comfortability. And we're going to come in here and we're going to start molding it around. I know, doesn't look great yet. It will.
From storyboards to animations, right? We're making education come to life. Engaging lessons, interactive flair. With every tutorial, we're taking you there. Welcome to the art of creative learning, with tutorials and tips to keep your mind turning. Design and engage, make it all shine.
Our leg squat in there. That looks fantastic. We're going to turn back the body on. All right. Now, just so that I can make sure everything looks good, I want his torso to squat down with him. But I don't want to move him in this composition, because if I do, then when it exports the PNG sequence out that we're going to do in the little bits, he'll be moving all over this giant square. And that's what I don't want for his torso, is because we're going to have the controller just doing the leaning. So in order for me to just test how it all looks together and keep that not moving in its own, we're going to group it and put it in its own composition. So I've got my torso and my arms selected, and then I'm going to right click that and hit pre-compose. And I'm just going to do arm, torso. And this is going to do its own little composition here. And so if I were to go into that, see his leg is gone now, and I'm only animating this, which is what we did to begin with, so we're going to go back out to the main composition, and I can animate this group to follow his leg. So with the arm and torso selected and I hit position, when I go over to the 8 frame, what I can do is have my selector tool and then just move him down like this. So now Do you think he's leaning forward enough? Because I kind of don't. I think he needs to lean forward a little more. Okay, let's go into the arm and torso. We're going to go to frame 8, and we're going to make the torso lean a little more. And then we need to adjust our arm. So making sure I'm on frame 8, and we're just going to move. And then now, because he's leaning so much, I need to also adjust the rotation. I want the rotation out a little straighter. All right, so let's go back to the main comp. That looks good. He's leaning forward, his arm straight out in front. Okay. This is looking great. Okay. So now we're going to make his other leg, his second leg. So we're going to, with the leg selected, we're going to hit Control D. That duplicates the layer. It'll duplicate all of our settings that we have so far, all of the keyframes. And we're going to grab the one that's behind him, so the bottom one, and we're going to change his scale, and we're going to make it slightly smaller, because in perspective, when you're looking at a side profile, that second leg is going to look just a little smaller. So we're going to do 48%. And we're going to start with his position, and we're going to click on the position there. We're going to move him out to that 8 frame. And then I'm going to start kind of moving that out where we can see. There we go. And I'm just kind of moving him up and over, and what looks good to me. Okay. Now we need to adjust our pins on this one. So we're going to come back here and grab the pin tool.
The art of creative learning, your e-learning lifeline. Join the community, let's innovate. With creativity we educate. Step by step, learn something new. With Tia Pez, it's all for you. Welcome to the art of creative learning. With tutorials and tips to keep your mind turning.
Let's go into our arm, where we're focused just on the lean forward. And we are going to add his arm in the back. So we're going to click the arm, Control D to duplicate it, and we're going to bring it behind his torso. Open that up. We're going to change our scale to 48. And then with that arm selected, we're going to adjust it there. Let's go ahead and add a drop shadow to the top arm. There we go. Move that so that the shadow is coming over top. We're going to make it a little blended out. There we go. And I also want to add color offset to the bottom arm. I'm just going to change the color ever so slightly. That looks good. Just kind of give it a little more depth. All right. So I would say play, but it goes crazy fast, but you can if you hit the space bar. Bloop. But it's easier to just use your playhead to scroll through the images. Okay, after all that fast forwarding and moving around, I finally got the puppet the way I want it. So when you, let's just kind of scroll him. He squats, his knees are not over his toes. We've got kind of like this right angle there, the way it's supposed to be, and then leaning forward with his arms straight out in front and his face forward. So also just to kind of go into the arms and torso, I wanted to show you guys, I did add some pin tools here and added the rotation one to the neck, so that way as he leans forward, his neck stays forward. Otherwise, he would be looking down at the ground instead of forward. And then also kind of just fixing his shirt. So as you watch him on the full one, his shirt adjusts as he squats. So I'm happy with this. First, we're going to go into the arm and torso. And we're going to export this comp. So we're going to export to media encoder with PNG selected, and make sure this time you have alpha selected on your PNG sequence with alpha. That means our transparent background will make sure to export as well. Make sure to pick a folder where you know you can navigate to export these. So we're going to do arm and torso, hit save, and then hit your play button at the top so you export that. All right, and then come back out to the main comp. You're gonna turn your little eyeball off so you can't see and we're just gonna export these images, his legs. We're going to export, add to media encoder. Same thing, PNG sequence with alpha. Right now, if you go into torso, you'll see the 1 through 8. And then in legs, you'll see the 1 through 8. Great job on creating animation in After Effects and exporting those PNG sequences. Let's go over to Storyline and we can start animating this. Let's do a quick recap. Previously, we have created a complex multi-state object using After Effects with some animation techniques as we exported it into a PNG sequence. And then now we're about to start our storyline portion where we bring in all of those images to complete our interaction. In the working files, there is a storyline file named Personal Training Certification. If you open up that file, it should look something similar to what you see on my screen right now. Let's go ahead and dive in and bring in our leg files. So we're going to go over to Insert, and then we're going to do Picture. Find where you have the leg files stored, bring in leg 0. And when it comes in, it tries to take up the full space. So we're going to adjust this to 440. And then kind of center it in this circle spot that I pre-added for you. And now we're going to go to States, Edit States, and select Insert Picture as States. And select 1 through 8 by holding down your Shift. And it'll import all of those in as a state. And then if you hit done and scroll your cursor over, you'll see our legs squat, which is exactly what we want. If we go back to our timeline, let's go ahead and insert a dial. We'll put this dial over here. That looks good. Let's go ahead and copy And we'll put the second one on the other side. Let's go ahead and make sure I've got them lined up. Great. Let's go ahead and insert titles for the dial. We'll name this one leg control. Let's bold it and move it to the center. Copy it and let's move it over to this side. Let's do body control. And then let's select both and make sure I've got those level as well. Okay. So we've got our leg control and our body control dial. If we click on our leg control dial, let's go ahead and name these two. So we've got leg dial, body dial, and legs. Let's also edit our variable for dial name. Let's name this one leg dial. And we're going to name this one body dial. Just so we keep it all straight as we're making our triggers and everything. All right. So with the leg dial selected, let's go ahead and start adding our triggers. So we're going to change the state of the legs to normal when leg dial turns if the value is equal to 0. Because remember, our 0 state is our normal state. And then we can Control C to copy, Control V to paste. And we're going to change this to legs 1 if the value is 1. Copy, paste, 2. And we'll continue doing this so we have all of the images and values accounted for. Six, 7, and 8. Great. Let's go ahead and test this. We're going to go to preview this slide. And ideally, when we move this, whoop, I know what I forgot. Let's go back out. Let's change. We need to change that the end value goes only to 8. And we're going to change that the initial value is 0. So it starts over to the side. So let's try to preview that again. And there we go. That's better. And we have our squatting legs. Great. All right. Now I wanted to give you a sneak peek in on the Briggs lesson that I had showed earlier. This was an OSHA compliant lesson for safe lifting practices. And Tim Slade over at the eLearning Designer Academy, he does once a month e-learning challenge. And that's where I created this. That lesson had several different interactions in it. And this was one that just got a lot of attention and people wanted to know how I did this. So just like what we've done so far, everything has been the same. There is going to be a slight difference, and that's because in the Briggs lesson, my character, his body is a lot bigger than his legs since he's a cartoon. And so when he goes to squat, let's see if I can find his legs. When he goes to squat, if you notice, see how his torso stays vertical, almost perfect? And so I really didn't need to move the body right or left. He just needed to go straight up and down with the legs. And so the way I achieved that here was I actually put his torso inside of a slider. I can find that here. Just like on my previous video for the before and after slider, and you can put an image in as your thumb to make a custom thumb, his torso, you can do a multi-state object for that as well. And so this is several different thumbs of a slider, and you switch it out. But if you're actually here, you can see he'll slide up and down. See how the box frame doesn't move? Because he is just sliding on the slider within there. However, that's not going to really work for us this time. I mean, I could do that, but I'm going to skip that step altogether. And this time, because our legs aren't vertical, so as you can see his legs, his rump moves to the left. And so his body will have to turn to the left to meet up with him. So what we're going to do for this is create 0 pixel paths, motion paths. Let's go ahead and bring in our torso. So let's insert picture, find our torso, bring in 0. Change him to the 440 as well. Line him up over here. He almost seems a little small. Maybe we'll make him a little bigger. Let's do 445. Let's do 450. That works. Okay. So we've got our torso image in here. Let's name it torso, or let's name it body. So it goes with the body control, body. And we're going to go to states, edit states. We're going to insert pictures as states and select 1, hold our shift, select all 8, and insert those. And just like before, if we hold our cursor over, we will see him lean forward. Didn't mean to click that. So going back to our timeline, let's go ahead and add our triggers to our torso. We'll grab our body dial, same way as before. Change the state of body to normal when body dial turns if it is equal to 0. Control C, Control V, change it to torso 1 if the value is 1, and do that all the way down for all of these. I've got lots of 3s. Let's do 4, 5, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, that doesn't match. 7. And finally 8. Make sure all your numbers are right or you will have some skipping issues. Let's double check. We need to change this to end value of 8, start value of 0. There we go. Let's go ahead and preview. And we have him bending over as well. We can close out that. And now we're going to add our motion paths to the torso. So first, let's go ahead. We've got our torso selected, animations, add a path. And we are just going to line this up with where he's at. We're going to name this path so we can keep track of them. Path 0, because it matches our value of 0 and our normal image, which is also image 0. So, and then we've got to find it automatically creates a trigger that we need to change. Move body path along 0 when variable changes, when the leg dial changes, if the leg dial equals 0. So when the leg dial is 0, we need the torso in the 0 position on the 0 motion path. All right. Now we're going to click on the legs, jump over to states, and we will switch the states back to normal, but in order for us to match up his body, we need to keep moving his state, the initial state, so he stays there when I'm on the timeline and I can add a new motion path. So we're going to add a path. We're going to line up his body. There we go. So we've got him right about there. We're going to name this path, path 1, and then change our trigger. Move body along path 1 when variable changes, leg dial, if leg dial equals 1. There we go. Let's go ahead and we've got to move our legs again. Initial state of 2. Go back to the timeline, grab our torso, line him back up again. There we go. And we move our starting point so that it matches. And you can always check up here in the top right corner where it says 0 pixels to make sure you've got it all lined up correctly. And we want to rename this to path 2. We need to change our move body along path 2 when variable changes, leg dial, if leg dial is 2. Go back to our legs, change it to 3. I'm going to do one more with you guys. Go back to timeline. Add a motion path. Oh, come back, motion path. Line them up here. And move our starting to overlap. We've got 0 pixels. Let's switch this to path 3. And move body along path 3 when timeline. Nope, we want when variable changes on leg dial if leg dial equals 3. So I'm going to go ahead, pause the video, finish so that you have a motion path for every image. So you're at 3, you need to get to 8, and then I'll bring you back in when I get to that point. So I've got all of my paths set up. You can see all my little dots here and all of my triggers. Let's go ahead and grab our legs one last time, go over to states and change our initial state back to normal. And we'll go ahead and give this a test. So hit preview this slide. And we've got our leg control and our torso follows right along with it. And no matter where I go, I can move both the front and the bottom. Great. All right, so let's click our close preview. Now what? It's time to add our submit button. So insert a button. We'll come over here. We'll do submit. And let's go ahead and change the fill color to this color so it matches. And we're going to add our correct layer. And we'll add our incorrect layer. We'll just come over here real quick and apply just the standard correct feedback and incorrect feedback. There we go. So if, let's say that the proper squat basically is value 8 for leg control and value 8 for body control, then you're going to come down here. We're going to add a trigger, show layer, correct. When user clicks button 1, which is our submit button, if body dial value is 8 and leg dial value is 8, hit OK. And we need one more. Show layer incorrect when user clicks button 1 if the value is not equal to 8 and leg dial is not equal to 8. Let's go ahead and test this again. View this slide. We'll do halfway. Oh no, well, I didn't add any of the text there, but we've got our no button. And let's try it again, and we'll do the right answer this time. Nope. Submit. We've got our green. There we go. I hope this video was helpful. That's a wrap on today's tutorial. If you're feeling inspired, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give me a thumbs up. I can't wait to see you in the next video.
The art of creative learning. Your